Anna, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm joined by my sister Anita, who
Hello,
you probably know her from my previous video, which was the June TBR. So Anita chose 4 books for me to read in the month of June because it's her birthday month. So happy birthday, Anita.
Thank you.
And we decided to read together one book out of the 4 that she chose, and it was The Invisible Guardian by Dolores Redondo. So today we thought that it's going to be fun to discuss the books and just discuss how we liked it. It's not going to be really structured or anything like that. It's just going to be a chat about the book and what we think about it. We spoke a little bit about it already, but just like during the reading, so we don't really know the actual thoughts after finishing the book. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if we both enjoyed it, or if one of us enjoyed it, or none of us enjoyed it, for example. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. We're gonna try to keep this chat completely spoiler free for the most part, I'd say. And then maybe at the end, I think, because it's a mystery novel, we kind of need to talk about the spoiler bits and the ending, because it's very important in a mystery, I'd say. Just in general, how it all turned out and the ending. So yeah, let's get to it. So in essence, The Invisible Guardian is a mystery novel. It's set in the northern part of Spain, and we follow a detective, Amaya, who is assigned a case in which 2 girls get murdered, and they seem to be murdered in exactly the same way. As it's a mystery novel, I'm not gonna talk much about this, but obviously there's this murder mystery going on. But I think we already discussed this a little bit before with Anita, that it seemed like the mystery was not the main part of the plot.
So as Anna was saying, the main character Amaya comes back to Elizondo, the town that she was born in, to solve a crime of a serial killer.
And this story kind of talks about her as a character, and it's basically her character study, I'd say. So we learn about her past, and we are always, as she's the main character, we're always in her head, and we kind of see what she's going through and the past traumas, how they affect her, and the way that she lives and the way that she works as well. So we see how things that happened to her in the past affect her in the present day, and have even a massive effect on her while she's solving this case as well, because she's back to her hometown, as Anita said, in which she got that trauma from. The first point that I really wanted to say that I really loved was the introduction of folklore and mythology. It was amazing. So this book actually is set within the Basquian mythology and culture. It was really interesting to learn more about this very unpopular mythology, because normally it's either the Norse mythology or the Greek mythology that we learn about in books, or books are based on, and this was completely a different thing to add. And I really enjoyed that. I didn't know anything about it before I read that book, so.
Yeah, me neither. And I remember that the first time I read this book, that was the one thing that I enjoyed the most, just getting to know the myths and maybe not the history, but kind of the folklore. That was something I really, really enjoyed. And reading it this time, I did enjoy it as much, but I just had a feeling that it wasn't as much as the first time. So maybe I just remembered some of the book, and that's why it didn't feel as big of a part of the book as it was the first time.
Yes, because you read it before. You've read, because The Invisible Guardian is essentially a trilogy. I only read the first book, and I haven't read the other 2. following that, but from what I think, it's going to follow the same main character throughout the 3 books, discovering some different cases, because obviously the first book had one specific case. So I think we're going to learn more about the character and probably more about the mythology and culture, even more in the next books. So perhaps you have this feeling because you read the whole trilogy already.
Yeah, that could be it. Like, I feel like I know something about the mythology right now, so maybe going back to the first book isn't as big of a discovery for me as it was the first time. But I still really enjoyed it and looking forward to rereading the second and the third one.
Yes, definitely. When I first read the first one, I didn't continue with the series. I liked it. I remember liking the first book, but then I don't know why. I just didn't decide to continue with it. But this time I'm really hooked on it, and I really want to know what happens next. Especially that Amaya, she's an amazing main character. She is so complex and she's so fun. Well, maybe not fun to follow, but so interesting to follow. Just in general, she's really smart, and what I enjoyed a lot was her struggles with her trauma and how being back in her hometown affects her. But also, I like that she's a detective. She's part of police force. But the way she denunciates the myths when it comes to police and investigation, I think that was very interesting as well. Because over and over again, she was saying, in movies or in TV shows, this is how people show how investigation progresses, and then she's like, but you know what, in fact this is the way that we do, and it doesn't go that way. Exactly. So I think that was really great, and it showed that she's really knowledgeable and that she really understands her job, and it just made everything seem really real.
I also think that what makes her a really interesting character is that we get to know the background of her childhood, and these were super interesting parts of the book that we got to know, because we essentially got to understand why and how it happened that Amaya is who she is, and the traumas that are coming back to her are because of what we actually know of her. So that was really, really interesting, and I think that's what makes her character really stand out. And this is also something that makes me want to read the next books, because I really want to know more.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I wanted to say as well, that even though we learn a bit of her past, we still don't know so much about her, and it just makes you want to learn more about her. So I guess that was really good and really interesting as well. And maybe it was just marketing kind of way of making you pick up the second book, but maybe it's just a great writing. You can never know. Speaking of writing, do you have anything particular to say about how Redondo writes? I think it's very straight to the point. It's not really flowery or over descriptive,
but that makes it real, I think. Like, she doesn't use many different colors to describe what she sees. She just describes the word as it is.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I personally don't really like when authors write crazy descriptions of the world. Just in general, it's just not something that I enjoy. So in here, I really enjoyed it. And even though it's not really descriptive, you could feel the environment, you could feel the weather, you could feel everything right to the bones. We are following the murder mystery, the murder that happened in February, I think. And obviously that is part of winter in there, and winters in the Basque country are really wet, really cold, and just freezing and gloomy. And you could feel that from the way she writes, and even though there was not much space for them to kind of develop the world and just describe the world, I could feel the cold going through to my bones. It was really, really cool the way she wrote it. I really enjoyed it.
I think that this is because it's not a fantasy, so she doesn't need to describe the whole world from the basics of it. So it's just the world, and this is how the world works there. So
but then on the other hand, it's set in the Basque country, which is not a popular place, I'd say. So for people who don't live there, even like Spanish people, they don't normally know much about that region. I think for people who are foreign to even that country, it's really cool the way she introduced a lot of like little bits and pieces, like even the cuisine. When she talks about like specific foods, specific drinks that they drink, and I don't know what else, like the cake, really important part of this story is the cake. What I found really difficult is the pronunciation of these words that she's using, because obviously they're written in the regional dialect. But for me, it was really difficult to pronounce it or even imagine how you could pronounce that word. Because
yes,
like TX, ZTX.
I know how to read Spanish, but this wasn't Spanish. I mean, maybe Pasajaun, but what the hell the cake was called?
I know.
And it was a bit sad that there wasn't a dictionary or like a way to pronounce the things, so it could make it easier for people who are not from there to read it.
Yeah, definitely. In my edition, there was like a little glossary at the end, but it was maybe like 15 terms that was explained, but there was no pronunciation guide, and I think that would enhance my experience even more. So I think that would make this book even better if I knew how to read them properly.
Or maybe it was the concept that we don't know the proper pronunciation, so we don't know like the myths and everything that's connected to it. I don't know, but
yeah,
it's something that maybe was lacking, but I didn't really realize it until you pointed it out to me.
Me, the destroyer of enjoyment in books. Even though I really enjoyed the story and I really got into the whole mythology and in general the culture, and I actually googled some of the myths and then I read maybe parts of it because I was really interested to learn more. And I think that's just a great way of introducing or teaching someone something new. Like honestly,
it's also a sign that a book is good and that it makes you want to look up things that you probably would never look up before.
Definitely. And in general, I think the book was really easy to read and I just flew through it. Honestly, I just read it back to back basically. So I was really engaged all the time from page 1 until the very end, and it was really fast-paced. It was fast-paced, but also very character-driven rather than plot-driven.
Yes, I'm not a really fast reader myself, and it still took me 5 days to finish. So very, very easy read, and like maybe not pleasant because the things that were written there were not really nice and pleasant to read, especially the scary parts. But something definitely easy and something that is a quick read for me and for you as well. And speaking of characters, I think that not only Amaya was really well presented, but also the whole family really. Like her sisters, Flora and Rosaura, their personalities were completely different, and we can see that whatever happened to their lives made them who they are. And this is also really interesting to see that people that are or should be super close together are totally different and are driven by different things and different events in their lives.
That is very true. All the characters, not even just the sisters, but even the colleagues from the police that she works with, they're really fleshed out, and we have a really good kind of sense of who they are as people, and just in general the basic history. We know everything, and that was really impressive too, because I think not many authors are able to make that connection between the reader and even like a secondary character in the first book, especially because it's a part of trilogy as well. So I think the more you read and the more you get into it, the more connected to the characters you become.
The only character that was kind of neglected was actually Amaya's husband. I think that he's a huge part of her and of her life. And even though he's super supportive and super caring, I think that there wasn't enough of him. Like, I'm not searching for a huge romance or whatever, but just the connection that they certainly have was kind of neglected. And he was mentioned only a few times in the book, and I think that was not enough.
Yeah, well, maybe in the next books we're gonna learn a bit more about him. But yeah, definitely, now that you pointed it out, I actually kind of started thinking about it. And yeah, I would like to see more of James. All in all, I think this whole book was just about being a person from a little small town, and that this mentality kind of never leaves you. So, what are your overall thoughts? Like, what rating would you give to this book?
I loved it. However, I did not love it as much as I did the first time, but I think that's kind of okay. As I said, I think that the crime was actually put away, like put aside, and it was there somewhere, but it wasn't the most important thing in the book, which makes me super excited for the next ones, because I really want to know more about the culture, the myths, about Amaya's past, and also hopefully know more about James. Yeah, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars.
Okay, well, for me, I really enjoyed it as well, and I think the folklore and the writing was super immersive. The crime was really interesting, and like I was really intrigued why these specific things are happening. And yeah, as you said, the character study of Amaya and her past was super interesting. So I would really like to learn more in the next books. But what I am a little bit unsure about and a little bit, let's say, disappointed was the ending, very end of the book. I'd say maybe the last 40 pages or so. But obviously, I'm not going to talk about this right now. We're going to move on to the spoilery section in a second. But I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, which was a really good rating either way, and I really enjoyed that. We're moving to the spoilery section now. So guys, whoever doesn't want to listen about the spoilers because you guys want to pick it up, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Let's talk about the spoilery things now.
What I really didn't like was the whole Basa Hound thing. Like, it was amazing that it was coming and going throughout the book, and when actually Amaya saw it, I thought that something would happen with it, that it will solve somehow, and it still remained unsolved until the end of the book. Like, we don't know if it was a bear, if it was the actual Basa Hound, or if it was a tall guy.
Yeah, definitely. I thought there's gonna be something to do with Basa Hound in the end, because it was just a massive part of the plot throughout the book, that people started calling the murderer Basa Hound, and in general the myth of Basa Hound was a massive part of the story. And then at the end we didn't really realize anything, and even like the title of the book is called The Invisible Guardian, which definitely relates to the Basa Hound. In the end we don't really know why he was there, so that was a little bit why did we have to learn about it? I mean, I didn't mind learning about it, but I thought there was a particular reason for Redondo to put that person, God knows, in the story. So yeah, definitely that was something strange. And when it comes to the ending, in the last 40 pages or so, Amaya, she goes to this like old police captain or something that she visits somewhere outside of the small town, and then she finds out from him that, oh yeah, actually there was a case like this 20 years ago, and it was all over the news back then, and nobody mentioned that at all throughout the book. Like, I'm sure some people would remember if something so horrible would have happened again and were happening again.
It was not a big town at all.
It was a small town as well, so obviously if the same thing is happening 20 years later, I'm sure there are people, even like Amaya's aunt,
or even Amaya's aunt.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, it felt really convenient that that person suddenly remembers something different and nobody ever remember anything. It just didn't feel right.
Yes.
And also I think just the very end of the story, when we learn who actually killed, was really abrupt, and the ending was super fast. I would like to learn more about why Victor killed.
But this is the thing that we discussed already, that the crime wasn't the main plot of the book, so maybe it just had to end somehow, and maybe it's because it wasn't actually the most important thing in the whole story. However, I do agree that while reading a mystery or a crime, I want to know everything. I want to get in the mind of the murderer.
In general, I think just the resolution and how the crime resolved was not the very best of her work. I think she could have done a better job just describing more and just spending more time on the ending. But I think in general, the ending of the book was really well crafted, taking into account the fact that it is a trilogy. I finished reading it and I instantly felt like I want to pick up the second book because I want to find out more, especially that we are left with some unanswered questions at the end.
Let's talk about the mother. Like, who is she?
She's crazy. I think she's a kind of witch or something.
It is possible in this kind of books because, I don't know, we have to read the next one.
Like, these bits, we are left without an answer, which is, I think, amazing when it comes to series. That you need to have a bit.
It really keeps you waiting for the next one.
Alright, do you want to talk about anything else in specifically spoiler section in here, or shall we move to closing off this beautiful chat?
Maybe let's talk if Amaya is getting pregnant or not.
I think she is.
I think she is. Also, this is kind of weird that all her two sisters, so 3 of them, couldn't get pregnant. And they
I was thinking that it's strange.
Maybe it was something with
maybe there's some kind of curse on the family, and because of the stupid mother, what she did.
Maybe the trauma that she put Amaya through. And also, why did she only put Amaya through the trauma, not any other 2? That's really weird. That the mother had so much love for the other kids and probably the husband as well, that she didn't have any left for Amaya.
Yeah. Well, yeah, throughout the series we are being told that she has some mental issues. You can't think that person who's mentally ill is gonna follow any kind of logic, because obviously that's not gonna happen. So it's not correct, I think, to assume that she would hate all of her children just because she was mentally unstable. But there is something off and fishy about her picking on Amaya only, and I want to know why. I just want to know. And definitely there was something that basically set her off about her because she was the youngest, right? Maybe something happened when she was pregnant with her.
Maybe.
So are you planning to read the second one soon?
That's what I was trying to ask you. Yes, obviously I have them all all three of them waiting for me. I really wanted to read them as soon as I finished the first one, just as you, but I know that you don't have the two other ones, so I wanted to wait to maybe read them in the same time as you.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna order it soon. Maybe I'll do it. I'll read it in July.
Are you planning to watch the movie? Because I know that there is the first and the second book have been movies.
Yes, I really want to watch the movies as well, to see how they took everything from the book and then just pushed it into a movie, because I think it's gonna be pretty hard to maintain the environment and in general just the feeling of the book. It's gonna be quite difficult.
I think so, but I'm really hoping it's good.
Well, it's a Spanish movie, so at least that's good. Perhaps they actually recorded somewhere in the Basque Country.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that I haven't been there, but I just really wish that it's set in the the town that the book takes place. That would be amazing to see all those places that things happen.
Yeah, because Elizondo is a real town. I actually Googled it when I was reading. I was like, I wonder if this is actually a real town or if it's not. I always like to set my mind when it comes to like stuff like this. If I know that this is happening in a real region or whatever, I always Google it, where it is, how far it is from like another town, big town, or a city, and so I did that as well with this one. It actually turns out that it's a real town. So
and it's close to Pamplona, so all the drives that she does are actually possible. So I really hope that the movie is gonna be as good as the book.
Okay guys, this is the end of our chat about the Invisible Guardian. Once again, thank you very much, Anita, for being here, for chatting to me about.
Thank you for having me.
No worries at all. Anytime you want to join me, I'm very happy. And for you guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy this kind of very different video to my usual ones. And if you did, please don't forget to give it thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for some more bookish content. I'll see you again with another video soon. Bye.
Bye.